All right, everyone. Wake up. My name is Malik, and I'm going to be doing a analysis of opposing arguments on can non-black people use the N-word? Now, the N-word. Who here can actually say N-word? Not the N-word, but just N-word. Can anybody here say it?
N-word.
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 Is that hard? It's easy, right? It's kind of cute. So, the first argument for using it if you're non-black is if black people can say it, so can everyone else. Freedom of speech, right? It's a free country. Why should a word be restricted based on race? And they kind of sound like kind of bad. You can't say that because you're not this race. Isn't kind of restricting anybody to do anything because of race sound bad? Well, if you think it sounds bad, you probably don't know what this could mean to other people when you use it. And before I really get into these slides, I do want to make it clear that I didn't want to just make this assignment a bunch of me reiterating things that black people have said a million times and come up here and be like this hero who's telling everybody what's right from wrong. So for this assignment, what I did was I took it upon myself to find black people who have been affected by the use of this word for the individual excuses that are made, because their voices are the ones that matter for this assignment. Because ultimately that's who's impacted by the word. And so, for the argument of if black people can say it, so can everyone else. I have a statement from Brianna L. from Penn State University. She says, "It's our word, and by us saying it, we take it back from the racist, hateful, and degrading power it had on us for centuries. So no, anyone who's not black can't use it. My question following it up is, why would you want to use it in the first place? If a black person says, hey, this is offensive, can you not use it? Why argue that in the first place? Meaning, if it's going to hurt someone, and you love the black community, or at least respect them, why is it really that important to your vocabulary? Is it like the word cat or the word dog, where if somebody were to tell you that you can't use it because of race, you're going to have to speak differently forever? Is it that crucial that you're willing to potentially hurt someone or make them feel like they're a second-class citizen to you so that you can sound cool, you can sound hip, or whatever excuse you possibly have? Let's move on to the next excuse. All right, they call themselves that, use it in music. So black people call themselves the N-word, and they use it in music. Are they not intending for us to non-black people to consume it as well? Why would you write lyrics? You know, people are supposed to recite lyrics, right? We're supposed to sing along. Isn't that the point? Well, why would you do that with the N-word? Now, I think every rapper knows not only black people are going to be reciting their lyrics. That's the argument, at least. So, I got another statement from another black person who has been affected by someone who's used that word by reciting lyrics in music. Now, this is from someone who's semi-anonymous. From the name is Jazz. We reclaimed the word and changed it from its negative connotation. We didn't reclaim it for the world to use. We reclaimed it for us. Do you believe that you can consume music with the N-word in it without saying it? I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been in a car and I listen to a lot of rap, and a lot of it has the N-word. I don't even say it in the car. And that's not me just saying that because no one's in the car with me. I don't want to train myself to be able to slip it out if I'm singing, with a friend, because that could happen. It's a psychological thing. We're all human. So, I'm 23 years old. I don't use that word, and I'm pretty fine. I can articulate, I can speak, I can sing these songs along, and sometimes I'm cringy and I say hitta. Sometimes I just silence for the second that they say it. Sometimes if they're talking about, I'll say triggers, I just say, basically triggers, like anything, just anything so that you don't use the word and you don't train yourself to say it, because it's not your word. So, the next excuse. My black friends let me use it. We all have that person. Oh, you got, Rebecca has a friend who's black, and so she thinks she's, oh, sorry, if there's a Rebecca in here, Rebecca, sweetie, I'm so sorry. But you're about to get roasted, I'm kidding. So, Rebecca has a black friend. She thinks, let's, the first thing that comes to the mind of a lot of people when they have black friends is a caricature. Hip, cool. They start to try to act these mannerisms out. And so they start using these words, and they start to think that, well, I have black friends, so I have like a pass to use these words. And so you don't have a pass, and I do have another reaction of a black person who's had someone who was their friend use that word in front of them. Or another incident they had was they didn't give them the pass, and then someone else, another black person, gave them the pass, but then they used it in front of another black person who didn't give them the pass. So not all black people are the same. Therefore, if one black person doesn't care if you say it, there are still many who do. Those black friends who don't care if you say it aren't representative of all black people. From a proud African American in Buffalo, New York. That's how she wanted to be identified. I love it. So one person, it's there. If one person says it's okay, that's not the entire black community. And you know what? It's not even just like 3 black people out there that don't want you to say it. So shucks, you ruined it for everyone. It's a lot of black people. I mean thousands, I mean millions. I can't give you the exact number, but the statistics are there. If you actually know as many black people as I do, you just know from actually interacting with them, like this is a word that you wouldn't want to use. And so anybody that doubts that, I doubt that you have a lot of black friends, or at least communicate with a lot of black people, because you get that sense. You know that. You know them enough. You know the things that they've reacted in front of you to, the things that they've complained about from other people. You just know what's okay and what's not okay, and you just wouldn't say it. So exposure is really important. I'm in a relationship with a black person. First of all, thinking you can use the N-word because you're in a relationship with a black person doesn't work out, just like this relationship did. And so, it just doesn't work. Also, y'all should be blaming him.
Yes.
First of all. Another reaction. Kiara Dobbins from TAMU. I've seen relationships between black people and non-black people who harbor unconscious racist views. Dating back to the slavery era, there's articles about intersectionality that show that white women viewed black men as a way to exert power over them since they were below white men in the social stratification. Along with that, there is a fetish of black men being powerful, primitive, and dangerous, which are glorified by white women. Facts. She must have swallowed the truth because she's spitting facts. So, you lived in, let's just say, Queens, New York, Brooklyn. Those are places I've been, so I know they have a lot of black people. And they use that as an excuse, so I got a reaction from someone who's heard someone use it in front of them, and their excuse when questioned was, I grew up around black people. The reaction is from Tumi. White people did not grow up like us, and they never have. This includes other races, as I often hear about how Hispanics and black people are the same, and I will never agree. Other races think that because they are not white, they can fly under the radar. If your ancestors were not beat up and raped, lynched, and abused, all by being called that word, you have no business forming your lips to say it. You look stupid and you can catch a fade anytime. See, now Tumi's not the one to use it in front of. I'm a professor. Another excuse. So this one was brought on by a lot of cases last year. And also, I'm a professor, educated purposes. So educational purposes, this meaning you're reading To Kill a Mockingbird, or many books, literature. So this is a common misconception, and this is a reaction from a student who let me just read it to you because it makes more sense when I read it. Teachers, it's misspelled, saying the N-word for educational purposes holds no weight in an argument. Simply saying the N-word gets the point across. It's just as easy to skip over the word or replace it with the N-word. Using it in a class can encourage students to say it by creating the don't push the red button phenomenon. As a black student, when we read To Kill a Mockingbird, the teacher would pause to symbolize the N-word was being used in the text. Everyone would look at me, which made me feel less than others. I couldn't imagine the feeling I would have had if a professor actually said the word instead of pausing it. So this is someone who's felt like they're less than everybody else in the class just because, and not the professor's fault or the teacher's fault because they didn't use it, but just the reaction of the class that even without using the N-word, people looked at them like, what is it like? I mean, you just picture in your head, and it's hard to picture because you haven't lived that life. You're a kid sitting, and when somebody thinks, oh, that's where the N-word should have been, they're looking at you. What does that say? Oh, she meant to say N-word, and now I'm looking at you. What does that say? What does that say to you in the mind of a child? Time to look at the N-word, to be blunt. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, folks, but that's exactly what the message is. So, here's the issue. Okay, let's go back here. This word was used twice in this class. And there's really no excuse. There's really no justification there's really no absolute, there's no way that you can convince me or the many, many black people out there that you can't say N-word without saying the N-word and not getting it across. Now, you're all grown. You're in college, okay? You know what's being said when someone says N-word. You're not kids. And if you need to specify whether it ends with an AS or an ER, you can literally just say N-word with an ER. It's just not that hard. Most of us can figure it out. And that was actually one of the main inspirations for this decision, for this project. And so I didn't say anything the first time. I didn't say anything the second time. And that's my fault. But I'm saying something now. Okay? And if you have any questions or comments, feel free. Because this was the worst part. Or the hardest part. So any questions? Come on, give me something. What's really good? What
if the professor was black?
What if the professor was black? Fun fact, I spoke with black professors. They don't use the word either. And if the professor was black, I mean, it's just common sense. If a black person is saying it, but it's because they're black, the whole point of this. But, they also agree that it shouldn't belong in an educational environment. So it's not even just about, like, what color the professor is. It's also kind of like a set of things that should and should not be said in class. Mind you, do black people say the N-word at work? They know not to. What boss is going to say, Sydney can say the N-word because she's black around customer? No. So it's the same thing for class.